Yeah, so I just learned today that he's a fellow fly fisherman, so we could also talk fishing here for 20 minutes. But please talk a bit about DNA journey.
Yes, I'll do. We can talk about fishing later then. So hello everyone, my name is Juuso Karekoski. I've been heading the data management and BI operations at DNA for the past 6 years. And before we go into the actual beef, I'll say a few words about DNA. So for the Finns out there, I guess DNA is a known brand. But for others, DNA is one of Finland's leading telecom service providers. We have about 3.8 million subscriptions out there, revenue a bit more than $1 billion, a bit more than 1,600 employees in the end of last year. And currently in the telco market, we're second in the mobile side and first in the fixed business. And one thing I'd like to note about DNA, many times values of companies are slideware, but I want to emphasize that the values of DNA, fast, straightforward, and brave, are truly there, and I can see them in the everyday operations at DNA. And then one thing to note about DNA still, we are part of the Telenor group since 2018, and we have our Telenor Nordics colleagues in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and we can come back to how we've scaled success over the Nordics at the end of this presentation. But to set the context right, we thought that it makes sense to share a bit of the DNA data platform journey in the start. So if we look 10, 15 years back, DNA, there were multiple on-premise data warehouse silos, multiple different BI tools were used. IT was operating basically as a report factory. Reports were ordered from IT without any kind of tight collaboration, and the ETL was done basically monthly or at best daily, and there were a lot of development teams with different ways of working. So if you would want to characterize that kind of period of time, it's like slow, parallel, siloed development with no common data platform whatsoever. Then in 2015, 2018, we started introducing new capabilities and ways of working. We started building a single on-prem data warehouse, took the first steps in introducing the data vault modeling approach to the picture, introduced Tableau as the self-service BI tool, took steps towards more real-time integrations, and actually started building real value-producing use cases and applications on top of the data platform, like the B2C Customer 360 app. And then we also introduced these harmonized ways of working by introducing Scaled Agile framework, which we are still using today, but I would say that we're using a DNA version of that. So this is kind of, this period of time is characterized by having a kind of a shared data platform and kind of actually getting some value that helps DNA's business. Then more recently, 2018 to 2023, we've taken steps towards more operational and real-time and towards cloud. And at that point in time, we started building our cloud data platform in Snowflake. We introduced actually ADE to the picture with shared data ops practices. We started also supporting operational use cases in addition to analytical ones. We introduced streaming integrations, and we actually built a similar kind of Customer 360 app for the corporate side as we had for the consumer side. So kind of this period of time, we built like shared data ops practices, made our data platform more scalable by going to the cloud. And well, from the operational side, I can note that we also set up an internal service operations center for 24/7 support that's needed for the operational use cases. And then lastly, the last 2 years have been heavily affected by our direction towards the GCP ecosystem, and we've migrated from Snowflake to BigQuery when it comes to the data platform. We have switched over to using the SaaS version of ADE. Together with our Nordic colleagues, we have started seeing increased synergies on the Nordic level, not just doing development for DNA, but the whole Telenor Nordics. And we've taken steps to treating our data assets more like products, implementing different types of data contracts, outbound and inbound, done some data governance uplift, and more recently we are starting to build a network data platform for DNA, whereas previously the data platform could be interpreted as like a business data platform, so to say. And we're constantly thinking about ways to align better and better with the value stream, so to say, how we collaborate with the business. And currently, if I would have to describe the status, we have a large enterprise data warehouse or business data platform that's stable, developed in an agile manner, serves analytical and operational use cases, supports the business, supports the support functions at DNA, and covers a wide variety of data domains like customer, product, contracts, orders, traffic, infrastructure, billing, whatnot. So that's the status where we are today, and hopefully this works as a nice context setting for the discussion.
Cool.
Thank you.
And to get more further into the discussion, let's bring another mastermind of the product in. That's Arto Osa.
Hello, hello, thank you. I think this is the biggest applause I ever had.
Ooh. Do you want to repeat it? Give it again. Even better. Good. Yeah, Arto, we talked a bit about some of these factors that's been impacting your success, and one of the things that you mentioned first was design. So can you elaborate a bit on that? What's design? What's the impact? What's all that?
Yeah, so I've been on board with DNA more or less consecutively from the start of the timeline presented here. And Veronica asked how many times you have rebuilt your data warehouse. I would say that during my years with DNA, we have scrapped and rebuilt basically once, and it was in the first generation of the data vault. So what drove us forward to the current design is that the old environment that many of you here in the audience have keen memories of also was a real monolithic, hard to develop solution where it was really daunting to implement any changes. So the current design focuses much more on the a modular aspect, that the data warehouse is built as a large collection of individual processes trickling down to the environment. What it enables is that obviously it's like a gradual building, and so that you can keep on adding stuff to it, and we have a quite wide range of domains that the data warehouse covers. I think pretty much all of the business processes that DNA has that produce data is one way or another covered by it. So it's kind of like how do you say that? Well, to make it flexible in a way that you can maintain each component individually to be able to remedy if you get something wrong, and to have it not to choke on itself under its own weight.
Make it resilient, if you will. I think that's another word potentially for it. So one thing I know actually from my previous life is that the business satisfaction on the data and the level of usage is pretty high, which is of course how the value gets materialized, as we've been discussing. How do you do that, Juuso? How do you interact with the business? How do you get that type of bind that allows you to deliver it from the data team?
That's a good question. I guess if you look at the timeline, we've been, let's say, building the shared data platform for the past 10 years or so. And luckily, DNA management sees data and the data platform as like a strategic competence, how we get value out of data. So it's kind of been a marathon, not a sprint. And the competencies of the business have been developing while we have also been developing the data platform. So in a way, there's management support, which is crucial, the money, the investments into the data domain, but also the receptiveness of the business stakeholders to develop with us and learn capabilities. And for example, utilize tools like ADE while doing that. So
like a good buy-in.
Yes,
when it comes to that. How do you organize yourselves around that with your data work?
Well, I mentioned the Scaled Agile framework, so we're kind of loosely following that. We have a virtual organization, and then we have these kind of content or value stream aligned teams based on businesses. For example, when it comes to data products or whatever marketing automation, or such things developed for the B2C side, we have kind of a B2C content team for that, one for B2B, one for finance, one for technology, which kind of operates also as the platform, data platform team. So that's roughly how it's done.
Cool. Because that's kind of interesting always, the people aspect, because there's no technology or plan solid enough that people couldn't screw it up. We're built for that.
Yeah.
And I know that in your case, you've had, well, obviously in-house people, consultants coming in and things like that, and you managed to build all that. So Arto, how do you manage the people side? Like how you're able to do all that when you have a relatively complicated environment, well, as we saw?
Well, overall, I would say that we've had the good fortunes to keep the circulation of people quite modest. So we have been able to build this kind of more like a community that piles up the knowledge of the environment. And obviously people go in and go out, but when the stable is kind of like solid, it is much easier to bring new people in when there are a lot of knowledge already in the team. And so how I would say that what for me personally has been really like a driving factor in order to keep that commitment is the demand from the stakeholders and the users, because that's what drives for the motivation or ramps the motivation when you know that who you're building it to, and you have the pull from the business side. You know that this is important, and you know who you're helping with it, and that enables you to actually learn how the processes work when you get that buy-in from the stakeholders.
I've heard actually, and I'm not sure if the story is true, but there are times when business people in DNA come to you to learn about their own process. So it's a pretty good sign if that happens. Then you're into something for sure. I mean, ADE has been part of this journey, as we saw, and when things started really getting big. Arto, obviously you've been pretty much in charge of the platform. What's the role ADE's been played, and how's been able to scale that and help in that?
Yeah, we have been using ADE since 2018. I believe we are pretty like one of the earliest adopters. And obviously, since we are also using the Data Vault methodology, the tool really enables that. So pretty much the same observations that Tuuli gave already. But like what I think as a developer, it's like really takes away much of the like crafting with the mundane tasks that it enables these fast-paced deliveries and not just support, but also kind of like encourages to work in that kind of agile, small incremental changes way, because like the tool itself makes your life as a developer easier if you work that way to gradually implement. It doesn't really like serve you that well to pile up a huge number of changes. It makes you think about the data, that how this is affecting when you are changing the schema or changing some logic. You deploy those changes and have to be constantly aware of like that this is the data that you are altering with it, and like, well, basically like taking care of the assets that you have in the database. So
I think you're literally updating your production every day, or even multiple times a day when it comes to deliveries.
Yeah, I've done multiple deployments during meetings when the specifications have become clear. It's quite easy to just deploy while you know that this is the change that was decided upon. So,
wow. Now we saw that on the slides that obviously DNA was acquired by Telenor some. Well, what's it now, like year?
2018.
Yeah, okay, so it's been a long time already.
Yeah.
And typically that type of thing is always a disruption for anything and stuff like that. And of course, I'm sure there's like Nordic decision making and thing like that. So what's the role of the platform now in that change thing, and how does it fit into the larger Telenor data strategy, if you will, or a way of working?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's 3 other Nordic business units at Telenor. So Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and then there's DNA. And DNA is its own kind and is not called Telenor Finland for many reasons. But when I started, Telenor had recently acquired DNA. For the first 3 years, let's say, DNA continued operations in the data platform side autonomously, like before. But let's say during the latter 3 years, we have started to see a lot of, Telenor Nordics level synergies happening at DNA and in the other business units. And actually, ADE has also a part to play in that. So more recently, our colleagues in Sweden and Denmark have also started utilizing ADE as their ETL or DataOps tool, and they have kind of adopted many of the good practices that we've built over the years at DNA. So of course we're very proud of that, and happy for ADE that you're part of the larger Telenor Nordics journey as well. So definitely. Good things happening, and if we talk about scaling, then maybe scaling from 1 country and 1 operator to 4 could be considered scaling.
It's another version of scale, for sure. Yeah. Good. So, what about going forward? We talk about AI and all these things, and maybe Arto, you could go first, and you could both respond to this. But what's your view on the future of the platform? What do you see, or what do you wish to see happening?
Well, the current migration, of course, has taken its toll on the new stuff going on, since we have a lot of stuff that has been moved from the environment to another. But like what I'm hoping for the future of the platform is to focus on the cleanup stuff that has maybe not gotten enough focus on during this past couple of years, because we also have since the environment is pretty large, we have a lot of dead weight to get rid of also, but probably solutions that were at one point meaningful, but like previously it was said, it is often difficult to kill the old ones. So what I'm hoping to see is like keeping it up and running and continue the evolution of it.
Yeah, and Juuso?
Yeah, definitely agree with that. So Veronica also talked about that kind of nurturing what we built, and yeah, that has never been thought of as a project at DNA to begin with. So it's kind of just continuing the good work that we've done. But more recently, I mentioned about the network data platform. So that's kind of definitely something new. Different types of data, different volumes, and so forth. So that's an area we're interested to exploring and getting value out of more. Then we're actually building a new knowledge base for kind of unstructured data for all the Gen AI purposes and the like. So there's definitely, while we have the business data platform in a very good state and business is getting a lot of value from that, we have like new openings that we want to pursue. So looking forward to that.
Very much. Looking forward to hearing about that in another day. So thank you very much for joining, gentlemen.
Thank you.